Welcome to the JDC West 2021 Business Strategy Case Presentation sponsored by Bison Transport. Thank you to our judges Richard Bergman from Bison Transport, Robert Hyde from Hyde Management Services, Dante Calla from Bison Transport, Jason Dodd from Bison Transport, and Brent Turman from Integra Credit Union. Competitors will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present. Immediately following the presentation, judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask the presenters questions. I'm our academic moderator who will be timekeeping and controlling the overall flow of the presentation. Time intervals will be noted in the Zoom chat by myself beginning at the 10-minute mark. Following the presentation, I will facilitate the question and answer period. Judges will indicate their intent to ask a question using the hand raised function, which I will call on them to indicate the next question. No questions or comments will be permitted from the audience at any time. The audience is also prohibited from communicating to presenters in any forum, including Zoom or via other mediums during the presentation or questions. If you are an observer, please ensure that your camera is off and microphone is muted. Once the question period is completed, the Zoom meeting will end. Competitors, you are free to begin your presentation.
Technological innovation has lit a fire under the transportation and logistics industry, and is exactly this innovation which has allowed Bison Transport to excel. Your company has not shied away from change, and instead adopted innovations such as blockchain through partners like Walmart to better your operations and your standing in the marketplace. And it is exactly this innovative spirit that your company must continue to expand on to secure your mainstay as North America's leading transportation company. Hi. My name is Maddie, and these are my colleagues, Mina and Jenny. Together, we are Blackjack Consulting. Today, we are presenting the objective to position your company for industry leadership in both technological innovation as well as sustainability. We've identified 3 key issues which may prevent you from accomplishing this objective. The first being that the old school way, filled with manual, paper-based processing with your third-party carriers, is simply not cutting it anymore. Second, that strong industry competition, as well as a lack of differentiation among your competitors, is eroding margin and increasing competitiveness. Finally, that rapid digitization in your industry is driving the need for complex change management strategies. In order to address these issues, we'll be presenting the deal, bet, and hit strategies, with deal being to leverage Horizon's Eagle Eye software for freight digitization, bet being to develop the Bison Lighthouse for AI fleet optimization and to support other tech innovation, and hit to implement a change management strategy to increase buy-in among both employees as well as carriers. These recommendations will generate a net present value of $35 million by 2025.
Moving on into analysis, with our first key issue being that manual paper-based processes with third-party carriers ineffectively utilizes your resources. So how can Bison best digitize your freight process? So first, let's talk about the goal that you've outlined for us today. It is to create this end-to-end digital process. And we know that digitization is needed because it reduces the margin of error and allows for multi-channel sales, and it increases carrier value. And there are some pitfalls, however, that you do need to be wary of. The main concerns with digitization are that your company needs to have a thorough understanding of it, and the stakeholders involved need to understand the implications. Your team needs to be onboarded and familiar with it, and also there are security and infrastructure concerns. Moving next, we can go into our alternatives, which are either to build an in-house digitization solution, the second is to acquire Horizon, or third, to buy the Eagle Eye SaaS software by Horizon. Now, with the first option, of building in-house, we can see that while you do have an experienced internal team and you understand your internal needs, quite simply, it's an ineffective time of your human capital and of the use of what these projects can actually accomplish from your members. As well, a study by McKinsey found that 66% of enterprise software projects have cost overruns. So developing it internally simply has too many risks. Now, with acquiring Horizon, our second option, we can see that while this would allow you to be the sole ownership, which would limit competitors to use it, and we know that this would allow you to develop and launch this technology faster, there are high costs for acquisition, and as well, we don't see that their Horizon technology they're specifically the Eagle Eye, can be applied to other aspects of Bison. Now, third, with buying the SaaS technology. While we do see that there can be a timely change management process, this technology is already fully developed by Eagle Eye. And as well, we know that it minimizes the internal risks of security or infrastructure, as they already do meet those requirements. And as well, it meets the industry standard of what a strong brokerage software needs. Now, moving next, let's look a bit more about the case for Eagle Eye SaaS. We know that through the service level agreement, you are guaranteed with 99% accuracy that the quality and availability and responsibilities from Horizon will be met and maintained. As well, right now, brokerage software is table stakes. All the competitors have this software, and it's important for you to be able to provide it and provide this to your carriers. And wasting this time on this technology in-house simply is ineffective. As well, while there is that time for the change management, the development time internally will also be long. So it's valuable for you to instead use that time for the change management. Moving next, we can go into our second key issue, which is that the strong industry competition and lack of differentiation erodes margins. So how can you better compete in the transportation industry? So beginning, let's look at some trends. 54,000 electric trucks are estimated to be on US roads by 2025. We know that McKinsey found that the digitization and streamlining of processes is rapidly occurring across all competitors in the transportation industry. And there's a greater emphasis on environmental solutions, something that Bison has committed themselves to. Now let's look at some of these insights though. Canada specifically currently lacks that infrastructure fit for electric vehicles. And we know that you have also been in this same position where you've had this statement. So pursuing these new trends and differentiation through this won't be ideal. However, with digitization, we can see that it is something that needs to be implemented across the entire supply chain. And digitization can drive these green tech solutions. We've actually already seen this, specifically with your blockchain-based freight innovations with both with Walmart and internally, as they have cost savings, but also supply chain efficiencies. And we can see that there are these continued efforts internally for these green tech mindsets. So Bison must use their internal team to develop tech solutions that increase supply chain efficiencies. And our third key issue is that company digitization drives the need for comprehensive change management. We know that your employees may be unsure of this brokerage integration, and they will have unfamiliarities with this new technology. During this time, there could also be delays in the projects. Your carriers may also be unfamiliar, and it requires you to be agile in actually teaching them and working alongside them to increase their buy-in. So with our recommendations, we will be working with you to prepare your freight to launch.
Going into our deal, bet, hit strategy for you today, we will be able to place you as a technology leader within the transportation industry. The first pillar of the recommendation to deal addresses the first key issue of your manual paper-based processes by leveraging Horizon's Eagle Eye software for freight digitization. Going to this, we know that it provides the key capabilities that you need while still being highly customizable. In terms of the benefits, I know Mina outlined the case, but another thing is API integration with the software for future innovations such as blockchain for cross-border payments, as we know that's part of your process, as well as faster speed to deployment and your ability to adopt those industry best practices, considering that through your expansion through the US and Mexico. Now, a case study where it's proven successful to outsource instead of build has been Zim, which is also a transportation company that used SAP's transportation management application. And as a result of using this, they're able to automate tasks, get greater process and data transparency while having an easily enforceable service level agreement to increase their operations. Now, what does buying Eagle Eye software look like for your company? Well, first, you need to create a project team. This would be cross-functional, and they'd be using agile methodology and include both Horizon software representatives as well as your internal IT team to provide that holistic support and contributions from both sides for a successful project implementation. The second part then is to then do a current state and gap analysis. What this would look like is first interviewing the order management team and other people involved in the process for questions such as what are your daily tasks, what are some of your frustrations to get a hand of that, and then from them creating process and data flow diagrams so you can accurately determine which areas would fit the most and would need customization to the solution. Then the third and final thing is then to have a phased rollout of the software within your company. This would be an incremental implementation, and we recommend starting with your Canadian operations before moving to US and Mexico brokers and introducing them, as this will help reduce risk compared to other rollouts such as a plunge rollout or a pilot or parallel, and you'll be able to receive feedback throughout this rollout process. And the benefit of the recommendation here is that you will still be able to digitize your operations in a timely manner so that you can focus your internal resources elsewhere. And that leads us to our second pillar of the strategy, which is to bet. And this addresses that strong industry competition, lack of differentiation by developing a Bison Lighthouse team for, instead of content convenience, should be for AI, fleet optimization, other technology innovations. Now, going into this would be a Lighthouse team that would be overseen by your project management office. A project management office in this case would have all the best practices for project management, including looking at project status, financials, and maintaining that across your organization. And your Lighthouse team would develop different Lighthouse projects. And what these are short-term, well-defined projects where you can quickly try out a new tech innovation concept before scaling it up to your entire company or even industry. And what this would look like in your company is the PMO would oversee several different Lighthouse project teams here. And each Lighthouse project team would consist of employees seconded from different areas of your business, including IT, operations, and logistics, in addition to bringing in external resources such as industry experts and having them contracted to your teams for these different projects here. Now, an example of where this can be successful is through fleet optimization, although there are countless other areas where you can implement this Bison Lighthouse thing, such as through looking at LNG, in addition to additional blockchain capabilities. But for the sake of this, we'll show you how it would look like with fleet optimization. So the first part would be to develop a project pipeline where you identify opportunities to leverage fleet optimization through pain points by looking through things such as your environmental impact, timeliness of your different operations, and having that down. The second part then is to then develop the team where you contract and source AI and machine learning experts and leveraging the expertise of your existing IT team because they understand your data and they understand your processes. And then thirdly is then doing that agile and testing of this project where you would leverage sprints for quick feedback in addition to using software such as Jira to keep track of your system testing and other capabilities that you are trying out. And then this will provide successful projects that can then be scaled up. And the benefit of this recommendation is that you will still be able to leverage your resources and be the top leader in innovation within the industry. And then the third pillar of the recommendation here is to hit. And this addresses the issue that you need a comprehensive change management strategy. So what this looks like is first on your internal side is to develop a 3-phase management strategy for employee buy-in. And this is modeled after the ProSci methodology of 3 phases. The first is preparing for change. And what this is an impact assessment on your people, processes, and technology. And this is where a business analyst would interview different employees and to determine changes and also send out surveys to employees with key questions such as how would they be impacted by this new initiative to Eagle Eyes and how would they feel comfortable and what tools would they need. The second phase is managing this, and this includes a training process. And we recommend a train the trainer model where Horizons will train key IT members of your software team to become experts themselves. And then they would then train the rest of your IT team in addition to your other members by creating documentations and through onboarding workshops. And finally, the first phase is reinforcing it through 2 things. The first is two-way feedback, which is an anonymous form for your employees. And second is to celebrate successes such as 10, 50, or 100 carriers onboarded through recognition sent out to the entire company. And then on top of that, you also have to consider your carriers because they would be moving from this paper-based to this new software. So there are 3 key steps, which are to communicate your changes through emails and calls. Second is through onboarding workshops to go through that account creation. And third is provide support for them through live chats and robust FAQ documentation. And the benefit of this is that you'll be able to get buy-in for this new software in order to digitize your operations. And with that, we'll now be delivering the cargo for you now that we've understood how to put the freight together.
Thank you, Jenny. Moving into our implementation, we'll begin by looking at the deal recommendation of purchasing and implementing Eagle Eye software. Looking towards the timeline, on the left, you'll see the 2 broad tasks being the purchase and implementation of Horizon software, and then the employee retraining across the timetable, with key milestones being identified along the right. Turning your attention towards the bottom of the slide, we'll begin by looking towards the phased integration on the internal side. We recommend you integrate the software with phase 1 being within your company's management so they are able to get a good handle on the software before it is able to roll out across the rest of your teams. Now for the management, we recommend that this operate parallel to your existing systems just to ensure that no disruptions take place across integration. Second, looking towards employee retraining workshops, these will be developed alongside Horizon and will be tasked with instructing fundamental system usage, as well as some more specific role-specific use training with certain employee sets. And finally, looking towards system leaders, we recommend these are people you elect within your teams to act as an internal support mechanism for rapid diagnosis of issues that arise with the software and as a rapid response system to operate within your own company. A key performance indicator we'd like to see from this recommendation is to decrease your administrative expenses associated with these third-party carriers by 35% through 2023. Looking towards the second recommendation of BET, again, the key tasks here are team formation for these buys and lighthouses. Then working on that first task, we recommend you pursue of integrating AI fleet optimization. Looking towards this Lighthouse team, we recommend that this is a cross-functional team of approximately 10 people with the addition of added secondments which will come from across the company as emerging projects are added to your company. Second, looking towards this PMO office and some of its key structures, this really will be in charge of managing a lot of these new emerging projects, which are added through the Bison Lighthouse. And finally, looking towards some impact areas we project that AI fleet optimization will be able to make a difference are in load consolidation, as well as superior route planning, as well as leveraging intermodality wherever possible within your fleets and delivery systems. The key performance indicator we would like to see from this recommendation is to decrease your overall transportation cost by 10% by 2024, with the potential for further cost reductions as some of these Lighthouse projects are developed and then scaled throughout your company. Finally, looking towards a HIT recommendation, which is to increase your employee buy-in through change management, with the key tasks here being managing that internal culture shift, and then looking towards your external carriers and managing their needs. First, we'll look at innovation incentives, how do you incentivize innovation among your employees? So we recommend you allocate strategic employees 10% of their total office time to explore innovative projects, allotting a $5,000 secondment bonus for all employees who do make the move towards that innovation team, the Lighthouse team rather. Second, looking towards the carrier workshops, these essentially will be pre-made videos to deliver to your carriers, just outlining basic functionality of the systems, and we'll be able to leverage a lot of the existing content you've developed for training your own employees. Finally, looking towards the change survey and general feedback that you hope that you'll be seeking to get from your employees, this really is seeking to understand employee hesitations, points of resistance, as well as their motivations in trying to better use the software systems so that you can better address their needs. The key performance indicator we'd like to see from this recommendation is to receive a surveyed employee satisfaction of at least 85% with the new Horizon system. Moving into our financial analysis, we'll begin by first looking towards the incremental benefits, which are outlined under each respective recommendation. Second, we'll look towards the incremental costs of each recommendation. And then finally, take a glance at the net benefits provided by each recommendation over the subsequent years. First, we'll begin with the Horizon software recommendation, which the key revenue driver will be some of those administrative savings, which you'll be able to generate through reductions in paperwork as well as redundancies and generally streamlining that process. Second, with the Bison Lighthouse, this Lighthouse team, this will be able to generate incremental savings over time through innovations which are added to your company, such as the AI fleet optimization we are recommending you pursue first. And finally, towards the change management, the key driver here is going to be that employee productivity. Having them more engaged and familiar with your systems is what is going to be driving that revenue for that recommendation. At a high level, some of the key costs you'll be incurring along the way for the Horizon software are the purchase and ongoing renewals of the SaaS system, as well as its implementation, as well as employee training costs, largely to do with workshops. Looking towards the Lighthouse Team, a lot of this is wage expense as well as innovation expense. Finally, with the change management, a lot of this is those workshops for your carriers, as well as some ongoing support there. By 2025, these recommendations will be generating about $14 million in incremental benefit for your company. Moving on to the risk and mitigations, the biggest risk we've identified is that there may be server downtime by going with an external system, which may inhibit your productivity. In order to mitigate this risk as best as possible, we recommend that you add downtime into your negotiated contract with this firm, as well as purchasing downtime insurance to really protect yourself. I'd be more than happy to go into added risk as well as mitigations in the Q&A if you would like. Our objective today is to position your company for industry leadership as well as tech innovation and sustainability. Through our recommendations of deal, bet, and hit, to leverage Horizon's existing software for freight digitization, of bet, to develop Bison Lighthouse for AI fleet optimization and further innovation down the road, as well as hit, to implement a change management strategy, you'll be able to generate a net present value of $35 million by 2025 and position yourself for further success. Thank you.
Delegates, we will now answer Q&A period. Judges, please use the hand raise function and I will call upon you. Robert, you can go first.
Congratulations, a lot covered in a short period of time. I'm wondering if you might just expand on, and it was in their part, but I'm looking for an expansion, I think, on your decision and how you came to the decision on the timing for implementation in terms of the development of the Lighthouse project in parallel with the implementation of Horizon.
Perfect. I would be more than happy to go over that in a little more detail. Find the slide here. Perfect. So for the Bison Lighthouse team formation, again, a lot of the time we're going to spend here is finding those team members, which you project will take around the first 2 quarters. Then in conjunction, hiring some of those contract specialists. Now with the Bison Lighthouse specifically, there's not going to be a ton of overlap in terms of their responsibilities with the integration of the Horizon system. Rather, this team will be focused on driving further innovation, such as through AI fleet optimization on that end.
Judges, are there any other questions for the group? Yeah, we will go to Richard.
Thank you. Can you comment? There was a reference to communicating to carriers, but can you elaborate as to what that communication looks like, and if that would be done through, I think you referenced calls and emails and not through the digital platform, and if so, why was that not? Why wouldn't the digital platform deliver the communication enhancement?
Definitely. To clarify, the communications with the emails and the calls would be to let your carriers know that you are transitioning to the Eagle Eye software. So not taking over the communication for the actual loading and allocation of that. And this would just need to ensure that they understand what's happening and they know how to use it so that you're being efficient on both ends.
Jason?
Hi there. I see one of your KPIs was to reduce administrative expense by 35% by 2023. Looking for a little bit more detail on the actions to get you there and what type of administrative expense would be either eliminated or reduced.
That would largely be done through the implementation of Horizon's Eagle Eye, eliminating a lot of those redundancies on carrier costs specifically, rather the carrier administrative costs associated with carriers. Currently, the system is done relatively haphazardly through a mix of paperwork, informal emails, phone calls, leaving a bit of a wide array of a paper trail there. Consolidating into that one clear, concise system that integrates bidding as well as high-level transportation will more seamlessly integrate the operations on that end, incrementally saving on administrative costs and generally producing more employee productivity.
Dante, you can go next.
Good afternoon. Great job. A quick question, just for clarity, there were some financials there, but what was the, I guess, overall cost for year 1? And then what is the subsequent cost of per year going forward? And then what is that? What does the return on investment look like year by year compared to cost year by year?
I can take you first through 63, and then Maddie can talk a little bit more about the return on investment. So as we have implemented during the first year, much of the costs will be a bit higher, specifically with that purchase of the brokerage system, as well as the employee training. However, afterwards, the primary cost drivers will be the wages that are continued and ongoing support for training. And Maddie, you can continue with the
Well, you're not calculated ROI specifically year over year. Through 2024, as the projects scale into 2025, you'll be expected to be making around $14 million annually, assuming just the benefits are realized on the AI optimization end of things, with further potential for additions from there from that Lighthouse team.
And Brent, we can take the last question from you.
Thank you. So from a strategic perspective, the recommendation is to partner with the existing platform provider in the space. What was your discussions and as you thought about that around any risks around partnering there? One of the things that I would ask would be, Bison would contribute some intellectual capital to this build. Does that now get exposed to the competitors as well? Just looking for some insight on how you tackle that.
Definitely. The way that we thought of it was that Horizons, they had this product, and then they would be working individually with different transportation companies, such as yourself, to customize it to your solutions and processes there. And through this, your IP wouldn't be shared because you wouldn't be creating a solution, as this is tailored to you specifically and not to other transportation or trucking companies that way.
All right, and that concludes the question and answer period. Thank you very much, competitors, observers, and competitors. You may now leave the chat, and judges can join me in the next one.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very enjoyable. I'm learning about your company today. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.